Proof is in the pudding. Iran's nuclear program completely obliterated. In the link of this title, I have all that you need to read and listen to, including President Vladimir Putin's presentation just 3 days ago. Everything Donald Trump's been going through with the media. One thing you'll always know if you want the truth, and I've done this many, many times, all you have to do is go to Russia, get their take, and then go to USA and get their take. Between the two of them, you always get the truth. You go to UK, France, or any of the European countries, Middle East, Asian countries, you're never really going to get the truth. You want the real hard truth? Russia and USA. An example, folks like to say, hey, the moon landings were fake. The best way to determine if they're real is to go look at all of the Russian evidence of USA's moon landings. You do that, and guess what you learn? USA certainly did land and walk on the moon. It happened. If any country was going to deny that or be first forthcoming to say, hey, they didn't, it's all staged, it would have been Russia. Russia even had on the moon, they had rovers there before USA. They were already tooling around, and they most certainly do have footage of everything, including the American flag. You think Russia likes that? You want the truth. If you don't want to take USA at face value, all you have to do is look at Russia. Now, I could care less about Israel's reports. I think we can all say that. Too much British influence, but everybody, when you go through the United States bunker busters, you look at what they did in Afghanistan, really as a test. And again, if you don't know the history and the sphere of influence of the two allies, former Soviet Union, now Russian Federation, and USA, as it's always been, and everything that those two are since World War II, they compete every which way you possibly can imagine. Russia's had all kinds of problems in the Middle East, comparable to that of the United States. Sometimes they're on opposite sides, sometimes they're on the same side. One thing about Iran, Tehran, and all of its thousands of years of Persian history, you'll find Russia there for 1,000 years, a lot longer than the United States, and even in USA's history, 4 times that of the entire age of the United States of America is Russia's level involvement with the Persian Empire, known as largely Iran today. And Russia's never had major successes. They've got in, they've come back, they've got far, then been drawn back. Russia's never had a success there. As I've always stated, look at what Russia's saying. Vladimir Putin, like, one thing Russians and Americans, it's not naivety. It's just their own honesty as a peoples and their own pride sometimes gets in the way. What I mean by that is, when you come to a country like Canada, part of the Commonwealth, we are brought up, play the game, and it's lying. Canadians learn right from little ones on that to make it in Canada, you got to be a liar. All our politicians, habitual, compulsive liars. Nothing that comes out of their mouth is ever truthful, accurate, or even remotely honest. That's the basis of the Commonwealth. Lie, cheat, steal. Best propagandists there ever was. You want to see tall tales, total BS, straight face BS, you will find it out of the British Empire, bar nobody else besides other European countries. Lots of those European Empire countries really great at it. Even in the Asian world, really great at it, at least in manipulation. But nobody, and I repeat, nobody, no Russian, no American ever comes close to the straight-faced, bold-faced propagandist liar best propagandist there ever was is all those attached to the British Empire. France is like that too. Lots of European nations are like that. Perfect liars. And Iran's putting on a brave face, playing the game. Oh, no, this didn't happen. You can see all the Commonwealth countries, and it could largely be ineffectual. Folks, that test out of Afghanistan, to put it in perspective, USA's bunker bombs, no problem, 200 feet, level a mountain. They did in Afghanistan. If you've never seen that weapon, that literally everybody 10 times deeper and more powerful than the best Russia has today. USA went to town on this. Russia tips their hat. Vladimir Putin, you've created blah, blah, blah at the Middle East. We're with Iran and everything else. Well, Russia's got a lot to fear with that buster bomb effect in Iran. Russia's got to put on a brave face. They made their spew. President Vladimir Putin. I tagged the Russian Foreign Ministry. I tagged Donald J. Trump, who's getting all that British and European propaganda. It didn't work, folks. One buster bomb, maybe it would have made it. It's true. Could have hit the concrete. Maybe they have layers of concrete, 1 or 2 layers, and maybe it went off at 140 feet. And it shook rattled the cage, maybe some collapse, not much. Okay, follow through number 2. Bam, right through that borehole made, broken concrete, steel rebar, onto the next 200 feet. Boom, they drop another one to follow through with that. I'm sorry, but we have a history of the 2 most powerful enrichers in the world, Russia being number 1, best, most developed in the world, far outpacing the United States of America. We know all those sites. We know what they do there. We know the depths. We know the layers of concrete. USA used that model. The buster bomb, 30,000 pounds apiece, easily able to go 200 feet unless it hits a major concrete slab placed as a defensive shield, which Russia would do. USA hammered each one 4 times over, with other 2 just because of that 260. 2 of those sites, a follow through with the 5th one each. Folks, go look at the data. There is no way in hell that didn't level all of it. And if you haven't seen Afghanistan, and that's right in your face, a mountain, never mind boring through, and with facility, with shields of concrete, all that, 1 buster bomb, and that's a surface showing going through a mountainside. You get to see how devastating that is. Completely collapsed the works. You telling me that they go once on that kind of Afghanistan scale underground, then twice, then 3 times, 4th time, and then even 2 of them 5 times through the same hole within 8 inches of each other? Russia tells us they were absolutely 100% successful, completely wiped them out. And then they screwed up. Russia screws up like Americans screw up. I don't mean, I'm not trying to be offensive here to Russians and Americans. They're just not very good liars because their societies are raised not to be habitual liars. They're relatively straight shooters. If there's anything Russia and USA have in common is they're straight shooters. They may bolster stuff for their own pride and their own ability to win. These are both warrior countries beyond any other country in the world. But the proof is in the pudding. And Russia's former president let the cat out of the bag. It's right in the link of the title. That, Russia will supply Iran with nukes. And I know what that score is. I already did a video on it for all of you. Russia would love nothing more than Iran to capitulate and say, oh, Russia, because it's already been proposed by Russia many times to Iran, and Iran won't do it. The Islamist State that Russia itself can't stand. Why? Because it's absolutely and 180 degrees opposite than what it means to be in the Russian Federation. No different than the United States of America. We the People Republic. Sorry, you've got to conform to this. Well, that's not going to happen in the French creation of the Islamist State. Vladimir Putin can't swing that with the other oblasts. And just so everybody knows, he's got more than 38 more looking like, sorry, I should say 37 more. Iran would be another 38th on top of their 50 beyond the U.S. So Ukraine, let's just say Russia ends up with all 4 of their new Ukrainian oblasts that their State Duma voted through. They say those are Russian. And now you have an 88th to be in Iran, which has been offered to them many, many times. And the former president of Russia screwed up, spoke out of turn, and basically tells us, yes, 100% USA destroyed those sites beyond any measure. Everything's buried under there. And I mean, you could try to go through that with shattered concrete and everything collapsed, with equipment smashed, crushed. Maybe there's enriched material down there. Maybe they got it out. That's 60% ineffectual for weapons. You'd still have to create new sites. And I don't see, after what USA just did to them and proving to Russia, now Russia's got to play catch up because, if they could do that to Iran, they can do that to us. But they say, we'll give them bombs, right? Atomic Agency. And how do they do that? It's called Iran, the 88th Oblast of Russia, or 85th, depending on how things go here with the rest of the Russia-Ukraine war. But I would be inclined to say it'll be the 88th. Just like China can bail out Iran, they spoke up too, but they didn't have any insiders or former politicians of the Chinese Communist Party talking out of turn because they're communist. You'll go to jail for that. But in Russia, somebody spoke out who shouldn't have. Basically tells us the tale of the tape. You can look at all of the slides in the link to this title. Vladimir Putin really let it out, but that former president completely botched it. Completely confirms, just like the moon landing of USA. Why is it confirmed? Why did they walk on the moon and put the flag up and all that's real? Because if it wasn't, I promise you, Russia would love to roll out the opposite. And in fact, if you go into Russian archives, you can watch the footage. I've seen it all. I looked at this many, many years ago. And the moon landing happened. Just like USA most definitely destroyed Iran's nuclear capacity. And again, why? What's the number one telltale? From Russia itself, who would love nothing more than to have Iran underneath their system. But of course, Iran would have to give up the Islamist State. They can't do it. And Russia's been trying a very long time, and Iran will not capitulate. You can go look at the agreement they have. They don't even have a security defense pact. Russia's not been helping out nuclear. Media completely corrupt. USA's fault. India, Pakistan, talking about all this expansion of Iran's nuclear. Again, folks, 1953 is not 1970 non-proliferation. Richard Nixon. For the whole world, that's it. If you're not an ally of World War II, you will not expand your nuclear. And that's why Donald Trump did what he did. He did what USA has to do. It's called international peace and security, international binding law. Now, if Iran wants nukes, you already know Russia leaked it out of the bag, just like I told you. You've got to go under Russia, or you've got to go under China. So you pick Iran, you lose your Islamist state, there's no more supreme leader. You're either a governor of Russia, or a premier of a province or China, or you can beg USA for the 51st state status. And the supreme leader will be made governor of a state if, again, they constitute and go through it. Russia has a system for that too. I'm not sure what China's system. They don't really expand. They never have outside of their boundaries. And if anyone doesn't understand Taiwan and the original regime that lost during World War II in China's revolution to the Communist Party, that's what Taiwan is. Those are those who escaped mainland China and ran to Taiwan. China one policy that all the allies of World War II signed and said, yes, we agree. Oh, by the way, here's your P5 status. That was in the 70s too. So there's a lot of bullshit and propaganda that will always come from anyone of the Commonwealth. Doesn't matter, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, obviously UK, but all the rest. Can't trust a single ounce of media from any of those countries, never mind the European Union or any of those kingdom countries that were all part and parcel of the old world. You can throw all that away. Can't trust them. Persian Empire, can't trust them. Can't trust Israel or the British Empire. You can't. But you can trust good old America versus good old Russian Federation. Because if any two are going to have something contrary, it's going to be them against each other. Because they constantly battle in a competition for a sphere of influence. And if Russia could prove that those facilities were up and running and just cat's ass wonderful, they'd be rolling that out first. And if you don't think with their alliance with Iran they wouldn't do that, they would. Just like the moon landing. If they could prove it didn't happen, they most certainly would have. A long, long time ago. They'd be the first time to go, liars, liars, look. Russia and USA, always on each other, always trying to take the influence anywhere in the world. You'll find this over and over and over. Sometimes they're on the same side competing against interests. Or one regime comes in that Russia likes, USA hates. Then 10 years later, USA's all, put these people down. Go look at Iran's history of regimes since World War II. USA favorable, USA not favorable. Russia favorable, Russia not favorable. And right now, it's not really favorable for either Russia or USA by their designs. And that's the truth. If those buster bombs were not effectual, I promise you, Russia would be loading it up all in the Security Council, making fun of USA, showing Donald Trump as a failure. But the reality is, Donald J. Trump, 100% successful, and even then some. Something to even make Russia go, right? Russia's enrichment facilities. And that's the real design. They're the best at it. And I bet you they're going, wow, we're going to have to make some buster bombs too. We have to show USA tit for tat. Don't be surprised if you don't start to see that roll out. Or Russia, China working together and start rolling out buster bombs to the equivalency of the United States. So far, USA far outpaces everybody. That's my video. Important share. You can best know that nuclear capacity of Iran is long gone. Again, go through the link of the title. You'll find Russia leaks out the truth, whether they meant to or not. I think not, but that's, again, not naivety. It's just that Russia and USA, they're such straight shooters. They're so proud. They're so that they don't realize that these liar nations that grow up as compulsive liars can see it a mile away that, no, you know, we know propaganda and you guys aren't good at it. Russia's the first to admit, we wish we were as good a propagandists as them. USA would admit that too, if they weren't so proud. But Russians and Americans jointly share that pride of completion, of winning. And like we look at Ukraine and Russia today, again, if it wasn't successful, I promise you, Russia would be holding pictures and hand-out presentations in the Security Council. USA failed miserably. Look, it's all baloney. Getting Iran going, getting Israel and Iran fighting again. But you don't see that. You see Russia actually stating contrary and actual, now all of a sudden, Russia's going to supply Iran with nukes. Why would you say that if their program was still or was not active, or they hadn't been completely decimated? It's all in the pudding, folks. It's that easy. God bless. Share, share, share. Get the video out there. Bye now.